Okay, cool. So recording has started. So welcome everyone to today's meeting. Apologies if I sound a bit low. I taken ill a couple of days ago, so just trying to shake it off. So apologies, just in case I don't sound like my usual enthusiastic self. I plan to rest a bit more after today, so that I'll be ready and energized for everything we have to do for this coming week and the rest of the month. Okay. Has the recording started? Seems to be okay. Yes, yes, okay. Okay, so going right into it. Just a gentle reminder on our why, right? Those of us who might be Simon Sinek fans, he always speaks about why, finding your why, making sure that you know making sure that everybody who's doing something, whether it's a project, whether it's your purpose in life, whatever it is that you're doing, your why is very key. Right? And so I just thought to also remind us here of our own why. Why are we doing this? What exactly are we trying to achieve? One of the key things is that this is the first time in the country, from my own research and our research within the policy team, and based on our experience working on plans in up to 5 states now. Folks at the NESG have done a lot more extensive work, so maybe Steve might want to speak about this. But this is the first time in the country that we're inverting the process of visioning and planning on its head. Usually, what happens is the government and the civil service does it and brings it to the citizens. I mean, not literally bringing it, because most times you don't even have access to the document. It's even tough for you to access it, right? So so they just announce it, they do an event or something and tell you that there's a new plan. What we're trying to do is to invert that and say, the citizens start the plan and vision through the visioning process, and give the vision document to the government, and then let the government bring it into society to use that vision document to come up with a plan. So we're sort of inverting this on this process on its head and making this youth-led. And I've spoken extensively before in the past as to why this is quite key for us. So for most of these projects, we're in very uncharted waters. We probably wouldn't see any guides or anything, any examples from anybody across the country, not even across the continent so far, from our search. Maybe even across the world, who knows? But most of the things that we're doing. So I'm saying this so that all of the templates and documents you're creating, all that letters and data that you're gathering, we've created this drive to save them, because we know that in the future, a couple of years, people are going to need them. States, countries, etc. This would be people who like this particular model are definitely going to need the model, and are going to need all of these templates that we've been able to create. Actually, without even going too far, we have folks in Imo State already. One of the young people in Imo State who's in our policy shapers community is inspired and says he wants to do something for Imo State. We haven't even finished our own, but it's like, I think we should do something for Imo State. And he's already with the team. He's messaging me about like what the ideas are and stuff like that, and following our own closely and stuff like that. So and we've told him that if he wants us to like share resources, share templates, etc., he can definitely get in touch with us. So who knows? So in a couple of it could be like the next 5 states, 6 states, and if this model actually does work, where it becomes a citizen manifesto, the person is going to really, really go very, very viral. So just to remind you that this is actually quite a high stakes, and there's so much on the line for this. For those who are following the news, just another reminder on our why. There's this terrible news over the week about Rivers State becoming the HIV capital of Nigeria. We used to be World Book capital, right? So like, I grew up in the States where we were always seen with positive things, right? So we're seen in positive lights. We're book capital of Garden City, this city, that city, but now we're HIV capital of Nigeria. So the National Agency for the Control of AIDS shown that the highest level of prevalence is in the country, which means for those of us who live currently in Port Harcourt across River State, we're actually at risk, because like you go to cut your hair, if you don't have your own clipper or you go to the spa and stuff like that. Like you never know what can happen. Those are like some contact points, So for me, that's a terrible thing. And that's why you need a plan like this. You need a robust sort of like plan for healthcare, and we've had in the previous administration a very actionable commissioner of health. Hopefully, she's able to come back to work on this, because I really think that there's a need for a lot of focus on ensuring that we address reduce the prevalence rates, bring it down really, really low. There was also a report by Budget over the week showing fiscal transparency, and Rivers State ranked 33 out of 36 on the State Transparency Index. We basically rank states based on how well their budgets are accessible to people, how well their medium-term expenditure framework is out there. Do they have one working? Did they have a accountant general report? Do they have a quarterly budget performance report and stuff like that? We used to be very excellent in all of these things. Like DPR, if you speak to like people from previous administrations, they'll tell you that if you go as far back as the Amici administration, Rivers State was the excellent state in releasing its budget, teaching other states about BPR, releasing reports every quarter, hosting town hall sessions with civil society, etc. But now we're 33 out of 36, so that's not a good place to be. And again, that's a reminder why this is very key, because if a vision fits into a plan, usually MTEFs, which is called the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, it's usually drawn out of, it's like a 5-year thing drawn out of a a state development plan, and then that MTEF now helps us to feed into our annual budget as a state. So that's a gentle reminder as to why this is key. And I think the final reminder is, I'd shared this earlier in the WhatsApp group. This is something that we hope to share widely as well this coming week, where data shows the 13% derivation funds received by Rivers State. So 13% derivation is additional funding that the national government, federal government would give to any state that has resources. So in this case, it's oil, right? So when oil is sold, based on the excess amount that is made from that sale, it's put in a particular account, and 13% of that proceed is then shared across the states. I mean, we could have a long conversation about, do I think 13% is enough? Should states like Rivers State negotiate for something higher, etc.? That's another one for another day, right? But from the amounts we've received so far between 2009 and 2019, it comes down to like 1 trillion naira, and that's in a 10-year gap period. So this amount is not like our monthly allocation. Monthly allocation runs the bureaucracy, runs everything else, all that we do on the month by month. That's our fact, right? But this is a different fund. So if we had thought about within that 10-year period, because one of the things people have started to say is, how are we going to fund this vision? Government doesn't have money, etc. So we're even beginning to question even the current systems that we have are available to actually fund things like this. And if you want to be literal as possible, and say, okay, how many schools, for example, can we build with 1 trillion naira? That's 40,000 classrooms. This is actually classrooms, actually, because even if you go as far back as the administration, 2 administrations ago, we're building these schools that former Governor Amici was building in various local government areas, cost about 16 million to build the entire school, not just one classroom. But I'm saying, okay, let's say inflation and everything's so expensive, so high, and then you say it charges 25 million to build one classroom. You have 40,000 classrooms all across the state. You'd have over 1,800 healthcare centers built and equipped. This is again data that World Bank has shown for how much it would take for you to build and equip healthcare center. If you spend about 550 million per healthcare center, and then you build almost like 2,500 kilometers of road, or even more, really. I mean, so the internal roads, the linking roads, where it's building bridges that connect satellite towns into what Harcourt, etc. So this is just a 10-year period, right? I didn't do from the year 1999. It's something that's in the constitution. So this is a fund that continues to come into the states. And if you do for other, like Delta States, for example, receives a lot more than River States, in this 13% derivation fund. So there's so many states down south that should have been investing all of this money. So there are many questions that need to be asked. I think this is one of the ways of us just pouring the water and just putting things out there, let people make up their mind, let people ask questions and stuff like that. So that's our why. If we don't do this vision, stuff like this will keep happening. There's no alternative, right? We just have to do something like this. And so that's my way of starting today's conversation. So I'll give you quick April updates. For the May updates, I'll give you a few lines and then pause for the subcommittee heads to basically just tell us some of the things that they're looking towards in May. And then say by 4:35, 4:40, we should wrap up so we can open up for like questions, feedback, especially around the ideas that we have in May, and any thoughts as well people might have to move things ahead. Okay, so in April, just like we did in March, we continued to use the media to like push our stories out there and bring more awareness to the campaign. When we launched the survey, we had a press release that was done by the steering committee that went out there, was covered by channels, Enviro News, Cable, Chris Benji, etc. We also were invited, Wisdom and I were invited to Nigeria Info Lagos, which was, I actually didn't expect the kind of like feedback that we're going to get. So I'm like, okay, you're discussing River State thing in Lagos State. But it had a lot of like, the feedback was massive. Like people were just like, we're so excited that there's something positive coming out of River State. We're tired of all these stories that we're hearing up and down, And so, so this kind of like reassures me, that there's a need for this, that there's a reason why we have begun this at this particular time, and I hope that we can see through to the end, because because people are watching, everybody's watching, and really wants to see how this goes through. Wisdom was also News Central over the week to also speak about the political crisis, and also was able to skillfully chip in word on the project. I was interviewed by Punch, and I also was able to chip in word on the project as well. So these are just so many ways, but one of the things I wanted to flag with this slide is that it's too masculine. I think I need a lot more feminine voices to be honest, to be talking about this issue. So so our sisters in the house, when media things begin to come up in this May, I want them to hear a lot more of this female voices. So that's female members from the steering committee, female members from the task force. If you do have access to media platforms and you want to speak, like I said, let us know. We'll share your talking points with you, etc. Whatever it is that you need to help you feel more comfortable, because I don't think it's a men's plan. I think in the Rivers 2050, there needs to be equal representation between men and women. And that's something that we should definitely keep in mind. So going forward, let's definitely have that in mind. So that's for media. We also created used AI to create some visual features. We created close to I think 45 or 47 visual features that show various scenarios of Rivers 2050. And instead to raise a lot of questions, right? So we started to use social media accounts to raise questions like, we are a coastal state, why don't we have beaches, for example, right? Why are we not making money from our sand and the Atlantic Ocean? Why don't we have traffic lights? Those kind of basic questions, right? And I think those are the kind of things that we hope would happen. We have these visual features on the website, and it's easy to just click and download. So in case you have any of them, download it, go on social media. So I've been trying to do over the past week, just spurring conversations and asking questions that can help us imagine. The reason why these visual features are key is because someone who has lived in a particular place for a long time might not be able to imagine anything else beyond that particular place. In that particular situation, someone might just think, Aba Road is the best road you can ever imagine. But if you begin to have these kind of things that challenge our imagination, if AI, for example, can imagine this, how about us that invented AI? So that's sort of the idea behind this work on visual features. So so as we begin to think of more scenarios, we'll be adding them as many as possible to the website. Which brings us to the next point. Our website is live finally. Excited about that. I'm happy that it finally came out. Still needs a bit of work in the media page. We want to be able to ensure that the videos on our YouTube show on the media page. People are able to watch some of the interviews that we've had. So we're working closely with the webmaster on that. But by and all, this is the first version of the site that's out, and so it's a good space for people to come learn more about the project, the team behind it, all of the ideas and the thoughts. And also we have pages for all of the various aspects of the project. So the survey, the focus groups, the book, etc. So all of that is there as well. And we'll just continue to use that site as a way to warehouse information. The survey is also live. Can't say that enough. The survey is also live. Congratulations to Mesoma, Coffee, all of the all of the team that slaved behind this, I had to like, tolerate my follow-ups and all the things that I had to do to sort of like see how we get this out there. Very, very happy about like how we're able to pull this off. We talked about it the month before, worked on it last month, launched it this month. That's the kind of pace with which I want us to be able to pull out things so that we can get the project moving forward. So far, we only have 67 responses. So one question that has been on my mind for the past, week, 2 weeks plus is just how can we reach 70,000 people? And I hope when we have our open mic session, people can feel free to like chime in on this. We really need to be able to push this further as much as possible. From the analysis on the back end, about 16% of those who have responded so far are non-Indigenes, 14.9% are in Obiapo, 11.9% and Kana, which surprised me. So maybe this is because like Promise Vika shared this in the Ogoni Students Association group or something, right? 10.4% are in Port Harcourt and 6% are in Bonny. So let's continue to leverage all the groups as much as possible. It's also a good thing that we have a lot of youth responses as well. 3.7% people who have responded so far are between 25 and 34 years, which is great. So let's get more youth respondents. Let's get more. Everybody really doesn't have to just be young people. Let's get as much people as possible and let's continue to push this because I think. Sorry, for some strange reasons, my phone is ringing. Okay. So so that's one of the points. Let's see how we can push this as fast as possible and think of how we can deliver this project. I think that we need to at some point in this month would convene the people who feel on the task force that the organizations can help promote this survey, or they have ideas for promoting the survey and stuff like that. We're going to convene a quick meeting with the survey committee so that we can all just like have a quick 30-minute brainstorming session on how we can push this. There's some ideas like, sponsored ads, etc. But like what other ways can we like really leverage and push this as far as possible? Okay, so on the progress tracker, this is where we are. So if you're using numbers, we'll somewhere be like 45% complete. We still have 55% to go, which are really key. We've now moved from the survey stage to the focus group discussion stage, which you get to hear more about shortly. And then the book writing stage, and of course the launch. So we're not doing so badly because let's not forget that we had our task force meeting for the first time in March. Yeah. Okay, so the finance thing had been major. I'm sure most of you have been following up with me over and over for a while. And at Policy Shapers, we really wanted to have a volunteer. I mean, it says officer here, but the key thing is volunteer because we can't pay wisdom. So wisdom. Sorry for saying officer. The thing is volunteer that we should put here. Finance volunteer who's being in charge of like all of the project finances and reports. Again, like I said, we want to document everything as much as possible because, like I said, people would want to know how much did it cost for us to do this project. If I give you so amount, I do it in 5 states, it is 10 states or stuff like that. So, so it's quite key that we record this. At the moment, what we just have, and Wisdom will be able to help us think be more deeply about this, see how we can get a lot more donations. What we have is the Policy Shapers organization account, which he has said we can use that and have payment vouchers that people can fill when they want to do expenses. So he just becomes like the intermediary between Policy Shapers and the person who needs the fund within the team. But thinking forward, we'll be thinking of like what other ways can we receive money? What do people in the diaspora and stuff like that? So that's something that we'll be figuring out this month. Hopefully, we have improved situation by the end of the month. So that's the good news that we have a finance. So if you need any finances thing, please message Wisdom, and then Wisdom will then come to us to be able to discuss that. Okay, so that's the updates for April. We are doing quite well. I know that sometimes the work does feel slow, but in the grand scheme of things, like I said, we met in March for the first time and discussed all of this and see how much progress that we've been able to make in a very short time while working part-time. This is not our full-time job. We're all doing this part-time. So this is really, really remarkable. So hope we're keeping the same pace as well that we've had in May. So just a few ideas in May. Like I said, I'll be pausing at different intervals and calling the subcommittee heads to speak. So May 27 is actually River State's 58th anniversary. I used to know May 27 as like Children's Day, right? But I was shocked like I think 2 years ago to know that's also our state anniversary. And I think it's 58 years. I don't know what the Sole administrator has like in mind for commemoration, etc. But I think we also need to have a plan as a Rivers 2050 project to be able to think of what can we really do to get people to talk about River State a lot more, since that would be a very key date, which is almost like just like 3 weeks to go. And one of the ideas that we got is that since May, that's in the steering committee, since May is also the time when, or the month when the former governor, His Excellency King Alfred Justice Spieth, who at the time was in his 20s, by the way, announced the River State Development Plan of 1975. Since that's that same month, that actually puts us at 50 years. So it's been 50 years ago that we had a plan. That puts us at 50 years between 1975 and 1975 and this year. So we think that we should do a virtual town hall conversation with the King, former governor, open this up to the public. It's going to be a key informal interview session where there'll be a member of this team. We're going to decide on that, asking him questions directly about the future and about some of the things that he was able to do. Because, like, if you saw the documentary earlier, most of the monuments, like Point Block, etc., were built 50 years ago. So how was he able to visionary that much to build things that lasted for 5 decades, and also like get his insights and thoughts as well for the next 3 decades. So we're thinking of that. I would love to hear your thoughts when we open the mic. And then we're also thinking of having, not quite sure whether it's going to be an X Space or a Facebook Live or an IG Live. I'll leave the steering committee to decide on this on that day to promote. So the virtual town hall will probably not be on that day because it's a weekday. And if we want like maximum participation, perhaps push that to the weekend, maybe like a May 31st or something. Again, it depends on his schedule. We'll have to be sure what his schedule is once we write to him. And we plan to write to him from tomorrow about this. And we have a member of the team who is going to be pushing this, Joshua. So yeah, so that's one of the plans. We think that's a key month, and we should really like it's a chance to like further push the 2050 vision, but also get an insight from a very key stakeholder, the former governor, whom we're really lucky is still alive to be able to witness this. Other events, I think next Saturday, I'll be at the South Media Week to be speaking about something else, but obviously, as you know, I'm definitely going to bring in Rivers 2050, and one of the plans I have is to go with like QR codes people can scan at the event. I'm speaking with the organizers to see how we can work around this. Part of ways to get more people, because this code will lead people to the survey page. So part of thinking of ways that we can push that. So if you know of any events happening in Port Harcourt or across the South where we can send like information and stuff. Today, while like praying, I was even thinking about churches. I don't know if there's a way churches can like we can have the QR codes or stuff as part of announcements in churches. As you know, within the state, and have people like scan them and stuff. So those are part of things that we should think about. Let's think as wide and broad as possible, because 70,000 is a huge number. And the next thing I think about is it actually does scare me. So let's think as broad as we can for basically ways that we can really promote the survey and get as much respondents. So I'll pause for Mesoma to unmute and join, but just on the statewide survey in this month. So what we have currently is that we have a survey form linked on our website. We have a list of organizations and individuals who say they will support offline engagement. And I said we're going to have a brainstorming session together in the course of the month. But the key things that need to happen is first the administration of the survey at the LGA level. How that will happen, that's something we need to think about. We need to connect with those organizations who can support offline engagements. In this month, Wisdom, I'm not sure how we'll figure it out. We'll have to find a way to pay for ads and raise money for ads to promote the online survey link. That also helps. For some surveys I've done in the past, that has been quite useful as well. And find a way to target the ad to us Port Harcourt. And then, yeah, leverage like Port Harcourt groups, platforms, those kind of groups to be able to reach as much people as possible. So that's for the survey. Mesoma, do you want to add anything else? Have any thoughts or questions that you love to add?
Good evening, sir. Can I get everybody ready?
Yes, we can hear you, but you sound a little bit muffled. Do you want to try speaking up a bit?
Is it better?
Yes, better now. Yes, go on.
Okay, sir. About the 70,000, I really want to appreciate everyone who has also made effort in sharing this software, maybe through personal notes, in their group. I really, really, really appreciate everybody. But compared to the number we are trying to target, what we have is, I think we are still like a whole lot of thousands of meters away. So I was thinking, you mentioned the aspect of churches because, especially the Roman Catholic Church, which has the highest population, you get. If it's possible for us to have maybe some people designated to go there before the mass and speak to the bishop or whoever is in charge. That when people come to the service, before the service ends, because I think the religious leaders are part of, they would love this. I believe they are going to buy into the idea. When they
Mm,
come, if we could get, I think it might just cost us, what's it called now, data. Because I think many people have access to an Android phone. We could come to the church if someone is designated to maybe this particular parish. We come around, we on a free Wi-Fi. I know yes, it could be abused and all that, but just for some designated minutes, if the person gets to talk, because I don't know if the kids will be able to communicate it so well. But someone who has a passion is able to talk, then we say, oh, we would on a free Wi-Fi now. Anybody that wants to come and fill in the questionnaire, this is the link, it's sent and everyone fills it. And then we are done. The link is online, they can just check it on their Google, get access to the website and fill the form. And we're able to collect data. This is one of the things I have in mind that we can do. Because looking at the number, looking at the timeline, churches will also play a very, very good
mm,
strategic point to be get a lot of data collected at the moment. Therefore, those who would not have access to digital devices, they could also make copies, but I don't know how that would go. Make copies of physical questionnaires for those who would not want to use the digital devices, make it available through in church. They see it, then one or two persons can still fill it back through the digital questionnaire. Now, like taking their responses through the digital questionnaire and still send it across. That's one. Then for the universities, another target is to universities like River State University, University of Port Harcourt. If there is any way to reach the student union government, I
mm,
think it would also be another means for the questionnaire to go viral so that we can be able to reach the amount of responses. If that will be possible, it will go a very long way for us to reach. Before we now talk about how we reach out to the rural areas, because it's also important to collect
mm.
data from those
As
sites. I
well.
think that's one of that we
Yeah.
want to point out. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Wisdom. Wisdom, I can see your hand about not being able to hear her clearly. I think, yeah, some of the points that she made is churches, thinking of the Catholic Church and how the mass can be really large, especially in various parishes. And then she also mentioned that we should think about River State University and maybe University of Port Harcourt. Think of ways we can engage SCG to be able to push this as well. So these are some of the things that we'll be discussing a lot more. Nameka, I've seen your hand. Do you want to quickly unmute and share?
Yeah, thank you very much. I totally agree with her submissions. I've done similar work before in university, but when we were working for Action Aid. So one of the things I think we should also consider doing is the idea of having either as volunteers or people we may eventually provide some form of stipends to have enumerators who would go to all these places or even to the local communities to be able to get this to get the survey field. And it's basically all about just having the people equipped with, of course, data and all of that. And then I don't know if the offline administration of a survey would be better, but I would think that it would be nice to just have maybe somebody with a laptop who could just go to people with laptops who could go to the communities, to these that we talked about, the churches, the schools, and then they are, of course, motivated to be able to do this and then start gathering. We may just have to consider that option and look at the possible cost for this, the number of people that we would need, the possible cost, then so we can think around it to see how to get the money to get that part done. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nameka. I think that's a good idea. So, because one of the things with offline administration is that like you then have to transfer the data to online. So yes, if we actually do have, I think that's a brilliant idea. Have people with laptops, phones, etc. that can actually just like show people yeah, like what's your answer, and then just help them fill it and stuff like that. I think that's also another good point. So let's discuss this. I know Coffee had raised some issues around data integrity. I know like you guys data folks are very, very key about making sure that we get the right info. So when we I'm going to announce it in the task force group for the day, we're going to have a brainstorming. So when we have that brainstorming and come up with a plan, I hope that we'll be able to discuss all of these things further. So there are no more comments. Let's quickly move on to the next for focus group discussions. What we have already is the committee had done the criteria for selecting experts. We have a draft list of experts that Bira and I had looked at. I think Bira and I just like had a meeting even before this meeting to discuss these things further. And we have certain like potential dates and letter templates and stuff that will begin to go out from this month. So I think what is key for this month, final draft of expert list, that's like final list. So, okay, these are the experts that we're going to look at. And I think that maybe we should share, when we agree together, we should also share this draft list in the group for people, because some people might not have really seen this list of experts. So just so that people just have like maybe like 24 hours plus to be able to just look at it and see if there's anybody that we might be missing. Or anyone that they might know as well on that list, maybe have a personal relationship with. And then once we've done that, we can then conclude on having a schedule for the 15 FGGs. Will they be weekly? Some be Saturday and Sunday. Will they be Sunday alone or Saturday alone? To see. Depends on whatever works. Even though we're going to make the FGDs open, we don't need to have everybody at the FGD. So as much people as we can get, the key feedback that we need is from the experts. So we want to really have the experts like hear their thoughts. And then very key, let's also have repertoires as well. So from the FGD committee, let's be able to have repertoires that will be taking notes of the various discussions across the 15 days. So that's that on FGDs. So yeah, we'll write to the experts. Hopefully, not so certain now since we're thinking of meeting with King Alfred, the SSPIF, at the end of May. So depending on how we're able to schedule, if we can do the first FGD by the end of May or at least early June, that would be really good. So that's something we should work with. So we kick off latest early June and then begin to have the rest of them. So I'll just pause now for Bira to, if you have anything to add.
Okay, thank you, Ibe. You've spoken absolutely well. I have to say that the members of the committee have worked so hard in the past couple of weeks. In the last 2 weeks, I think we've been able to come up with like collating every expert that has been suggested, just like we discussed earlier. Let's say 1 or 2 weeks back, the committee had reviewed over 80 of these experts that were suggested. So we are looking forward to all the things that we are going to do in this May. I think that we are going to make very, very positive steps in this May. I must appreciate and thank everyone who took our time to suggest these experts. I know we're in the task force group chats a couple of times to ask that people suggest, and we got some response. So I want to say thank you to everyone, and once again to appreciate every member of the committee. Yeah, thank you, Iben.
Thank you so much, Bira. So we're moving on to the FGD phase. A lot to be happening here. And the key thing with the FGDs rather, is that so much of it is not really in the committee's hand, because like we still need people to be able to like confirm dates. I mean, the committee on their own have done a lot of work, so I know that they've been meeting, but we need people to confirm dates. We need the dates to align with the other experts. So there are like so many variables, right? And I hope that we can always have these variables line up well. If the committee actually does reach out, if you guys actually are being really pressed and need help, please also reach out as well. Let's see the other members of the task force that can be pulled in to support you. Okay, now to the book writing phase. What we have so far is the final book outline, which is quite key, because without an outline, you're not sure what the book is going to look like. So we're able to analyze the outline already. And across the 15 thematic areas, data had been gathered, secondary data had been gathered in the spaces. What would happen in May? Validation of the secondary data. That's to be sure that data actually does make any sense, and that will be useful. Like, what are the key points in each like document to see? Drafting of the first chapter, and then when we engage the former governor, His Excellency, sneaking in the chance to get it forward. I think it's best to get it now than wait till the end of the book. So if possible, we give like get his thoughts on the forward, if he can draft us a couple of pages, so that we can have that and just keep it. And then inquiring on things like ISBNs, like I was speaking with someone over the week that said it's best that we start the process of those things now, because if we wait till the end of the book, we might finish the book and then I wait for an extra 1 month before we start getting all this kind of publishing stuff. So like just come up with a publishing plan. Who are potential people who would publish? Makes a lot of sense to publish here in Port Harcourt, so that, or here in River State, so that we support like local enterprise. So who are the potential people who could publish this? How do we get the ISBN and stuff like that? So that's that on the book. But I'll call on Dr. Ma, who has been marshalling us and asking us like a military woman to ensure that we meet up our deadline, to sort of like share our thoughts or any additional comments.
Okay, thank you, Eben, and hi everyone. Okay, this is just to first of all appreciate everyone on the book committee. I know that yes, I may have been seemingly tough. But again, it was just obviously meet up with deadlines and just so that we can at least show progress in meetings like this, so that we'll not come and be looking like we're backwards in that sense. And I'm sure that my committee members can agree, right? So thank you everyone in the book committee for giving your time. We've made some good progress, really, and I'm really proud of how far we've come, but we can do a lot better. I do know that I'm confident that we can do a lot better if we put in a lot more effort into the actual work. So in terms of validation of the secondary data, we should be able to round that up this week. And then just begin, like Eben said, begin the drafting of the chapter 1 just immediately. So we've again done some good work in gathering some of the data from most of the 15 thematic areas. I think we're just left with 1. But I think what we've gathered so far, we can actually audit all of them and then sort them through, so that drafting is pretty much easy, because we have insights to gather and we know where to get them from. So that's what we want to just finalize this week, begin immediately with the drafting, and see how we can go through that chapter 1, hopefully before the end of this month, or even if it spills over, at least we know that we have some good output. So with regards to forward, actually, that would really be helpful. We want to also gather some of the preliminary book parts, which the forward is also part of. So this forward from King Alfred Theatre Spiff would really go a long way, because again, it would also help with our messaging as well. So imagine if we eventually get that at the end of this month, the messaging and the marketing from like going forward would really be smooth and amazing, because we already have that touch. And it would now become believable because somebody else also believes in this vision. So yes, definitely okay with getting that forward, and also maybe Eben also getting his own like executive page, ready. Also the plan to inquire about the publishing. We would also begin that. I do have a few people in mind, so they would definitely get other contacts from other people within the community, and then we'll see how many publishing platforms that we can get to support this, and just make just general inquiries about what we need to do, put together, like just what the process generally would look like, and then we'll bring that back to the book committee, and then we'll eventually decide on which of them would I would decide on which I have to now. I would decide on which of them would be appropriate for this vision or publishing of this book. But yes, that's pretty much about it. We're looking forward to starting writing already, and sharing little bits of outputs with the general task force on our progress and whatnot. But yes, it'll be exciting, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Udo. Yeah, thanks for making sure that you put the committee in order and ensuring that we follow up on all of our deliverables. So yeah, so that's that on the book writing. So it has begun. Quite a lot of work had gone into the back end, and I'm sure we'll begin to see a lot of that progress starting from the next meeting. Finally, under launch and partnerships, we sort of like brought this together because like they're very like overlapping, and Wisdom. Joshua and I had a meeting in the course of last month to discuss quite a lot of things around the project, basically. Things like we have set an October deadline, but what if there's no governor in October? Do we just continue? Basically, like the political environment surrounding the project and stuff like that. And what we have currently is a list of organizations and individuals that we've listed, influential people from River State, etc., that we think we can engage, and also the tentative dates for October. And I say this clearly, tentative, because like this is a self-imposed date. Let's remember ourselves that like there's nobody really putting a gun to our head. I think we must finish by this date. We really would love to finish by this date, but if as the project unfolds, we see that there's need for like pushing maybe to November or maybe making it the December thing. That's something that we can all agree on together within the task force. But key points for the launch and partnerships group in May will be ensuring that we disperse letters to all the past governors. We've agreed that the key informal interviews will be focused on the previous executive governors. So dispersing letters to them and being able to like figure out with their teams how we can schedule stuff. We currently have the King Alfred Smith as one of them, and then the other people like Ada George, Odili, Amechi, Wiki, Uncle. So that's one of the things that we're doing in May, and scheduling the town halls. Also, we need to come up with a draft budget, because we could be in a scenario where someone comes to us and says, I love what you're doing. How much are you planning to launch this? I'm just going to pay everything. It's not at that time we should not say, oh, give us 2 minutes. Let's go, let's go struggle to put together a budget. We need to have like something like ready. So that's part of one of the things that we need to have in mind and should be working on in May. And they have some closed meetings with like some key individuals that Wisdom had already like spoken to as well, that we should be speaking with. This also in public, they won't necessarily be like public meetings. This will be like private meetings, maybe the steering committee members, Wisdom, Joshua and I, etc. would basically be speaking to those folks to first get their input as well into the project and also see how they can stay us forward. But nobody political, obviously, nobody leaning to any partisan left or right. So Joshua, Wisdom, do you guys want to quickly chime in so that we can use the last 10 minutes for open mic thoughts and questions?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
I think you've touched, Wisdom speaking, I think you've touched on all the areas already. And the plan for me already said, so not much to add. Just hope to achieve all the things you mentioned for the month of May, and maybe more engagement also to drive the survey and publicity for all the work the committee, different committees will be doing. Really, as much more media time we can get to create a buzz around it, so what goes on more and more, I think that will be helpful. But everything you mentioned will align. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Thanks. I think Joshua might have gone out because I saw him earlier, but I think maybe internet took him out. So, okay, so that's our May plan. Let's see how well we can push this. I don't think they're even if you guys hear from Dr. Progress, I don't think there are even like government projects that move this fast, to be honest. I'm actually really proud of us for how much we've been able to move this while working on this part-time, because we do have all the things that we're all working on. So this is really moving fast, and let's just keep that momentum and move things ahead. Okay, so open mic, we have 9 minutes left on the call. We've kept to the hour. So if there are any thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas, feedback, whatever it is, you want us to discuss something, feel free to raise your hand and we'll pick you up. Okay, Nameka. Yes, please, go on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yvette. I wanted to sort of like a question anyway and a part contribution. If as part of the process, if there is some form of economic modeling that shows the source of funding for the execution of the project, and then how it's also going to impact on the economic life economic and social life of the people. You know, if something that kind of modeling is being thought about, or if it's already in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nameka. Actually, at the beginning of I'm not sure if you joined in. At the beginning of the session, we started to think about this, and I shared this this dual slide that speaks about just only looking at 13% derivation, the funds that Rivers State receives, additional fund Rivers State receives because of its oil production or because of having oil. And the fund is supposed to be able to help social and environmental development of the oil producing areas. Between 2009 and 2019 is 1 trillion. And we just like said, okay, if you want to use that amount, let's say that amount was saved up or it was added to a project or something. Like if you, what can that amount purchase you in 10 years? In 10 years, you can build 40,000 classrooms, 1,800 healthcare centers, 2,500 kilometers of road, etc., etc. So yeah, so that's one of the things that in the final book outline, we're going to have a section where we talk about things like this. What are the like sources of funding that we get? Because Rivers State government receives grants. As well, if we look at our budget line, there's a grant that also comes into the states. How's that grant money spent? You know, so there are many questions. I think if we begin to put things like this out there, begins to like probe people's minds, you know, begin to make them ask questions. I think that would be in a very good space. So thanks for sharing that. Any other comments, feedback, thoughts? Okay, sure. We can save the remaining 6 minutes for the call. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in as well. I mean, just as our regular practice, this is being recorded, like I said, for posterity, for ourselves, for the future. I mean, on the Nigeria Info Call, Wisdom and I said we're recording this session so that people see that we don't have any like ulterior motive. There's nobody sponsoring us. This is just young people coming together, technocrats, to see how we can put a vision together for the states. So yeah, so the recording will be shared for those who are not able to join. They will also check it out. But yeah, let's work in our communities in May. May is quite critical. Like I said, it's Rivers State's anniversary, so we need to really make sure that we meet up our actions. Final words, Wisdom. You have a thought?
Yes. I just wanted to add that in case people know maybe organizations, individuals who they think can support the work we're doing, or who they think can be instrumental to the work we're doing here, right in the vision, they can also reach out with me, contact, so that can also help the steering committee move this a bit faster. So if there are key individuals who you think have been part of our journey as a state, and that you think that we should be talking to them, or if we're thinking of the future of the state and all, that will be very useful for us, that will give us useful information. It will be also helpful if you can reach out to teams and contacts, so that we can reach out to them also and share thoughts and hear from them. So to add that.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wisdom. Yes. So please, any contact ideas, please don't keep anything to yourself. Let's use the WhatsApp group, the task force group, to continue to share in there. Okay, thanks everyone for your time. This is really appreciated. Let's keep the fire burning and see you on our next meeting. Actually, we're going to meet sometime for the town hall, the virtual town hall. So we're going to discuss once we get all of those things clear, the dates and time and everything. That'll be communicated. Have a great week ahead and have a great rest of your Sunday. All right, bye everyone.